Bum bum. One of the coolest things in the universe that I've ever found is radiation. So, what's associated with radiation is uranium. Uranium is really cool. Um, I've been seeing a lot of these uranium glassware for sale. I also seen some recent videos where people are hunting uranium rocks, and it really caught my eye, and I really want to talk about uranium because uranium bombs, for example, too, where people don't understand is like, imagine just cutting the particle of uranium in half, and because you cut it in half, it no longer is in this implosion algorithm or this stasis-based algorithm. Now uranium, the reason why it's reactive is because it's so dense, right? But it's dense, and dense at this level in the micro world is kind of rare, right? It has a really, really high elemental weight, right? And because of that, it means that there's a lot of magnetic aura basically around it, holding it together, which means it's going to emanate a lot of energy, right? You'll be able to feel energy around it, and that's what the Geiger counters do. You go around, you scan radiation, it tells you if it's radioactive or not, because it can scan the frequencies of the electromagnetic field to see if there's radiation nearby. What I want to talk about is people forget that uranium is kind of proof of infinite submass. All right, infinite submass is kind of a way to make sure that you can't remote scan somebody super far away. Like, the police don't scan around, the airwaves and the fields of the energy and then raid a drug dealer. They actually do that, but they do it slowly. Like, they scan around and they try and get, certain kind of fumes, and they get tips, and then they isolate down to, drug dealers and drug growers based off of this kind of stuff. This electromagnetic field and whatnot. Anyway, what I want to really talk about is that you can't imagine busting in there, raiding them, and going and seeing a chemist. You're like, "What are you making?" I'm just a chemist. I like to make things. Okay, well, we had readings that said that you were dealing marijuana here. No, you can investigate everything. This is all legal stuff. I'm just a YouTuber. I make chemistry videos. Right? And then at the end of the day, you busted somebody because of a false reading. Well, you take some stuff, you think they're drugs from this guy, and then you take your testing strip and you put it right next to it, right on top of it. It touches the particle, right? And some of you might say there is no touching particles. There is in the graviton field. It's just that in the quantum light spectrum, there is no touching. In fact, when things touch, they like go inside of each other. They become superposition, and they are touching, but they're not touching at the same time. These virtual particles in the light grid, your eyes are not infinity, your eyes are finite. So you can't see particles touch because that's not how vision works. Okay, so I'm trying to teach you a little bit on that too. Imagine here, let's finish the story. The testing strip touches the drug, it's suspect of being a drug, all right, and then it changes colors, not the way you thought it was going to be. It changes colors to something legal, right? Because your alarms went off far away because it was a radioactive isotope that has a unique signature similar to it, but it's not the actual same exact molecule, and the guy wasn't actually trying to deal drugs. This guy was just a science YouTuber doing chemistry, on small scales, and he has an exhaust chamber, and he's letting out these exhausts of these fumes that set off alarms. This kind of stuff happens all the time. I just read an article recently about a kid that got a nuclear fuser, it's called a fuser, and what he did is he used it in such a way that it set off the microgrid alarms of the Tesseract, where the FBI had to show up because they had to make sure that it wasn't sabotage or something like that. Because in the microfields, if you're messing around with the microfields, there's so much energy that, like I said, a uranium bomb, if you cut the atom of uranium in half, you can blow up a city. Because there's that much compressed energy within that microfield. So what I'm trying to tell you is, I'm not trying to tell you like, oh, bomb science, oh this, oh that, the other thing. You might cut it in half and it just fizzles because something else happened. One of many different things can happen. I'm trying to tell you. I'm also not trying to scare you. You could literally blow up in a bomb and survive. Your soul could survive. Your vessel might die. You know what I mean? Like, but you could survive. You could be a higher energy being at that point. Right? You're like, why would I go back down? Why would I leave this utopia heaven that I had to be blown up into? Why would I become a human again? It kind of sucks compared to this. Anyway, just some food for thought. Have a good day. Om Jawamar out. Peace.